So welcome. This is Angus Levy for Binary Option Networking. This is a special seminar we're holding. It is not a trading seminar. This is a teaching seminar where I'm going to just go through each of the indicators we use one at a time. I'll also teach you a little bit about how to use the actual MT4 platform. If you set up your own MT4, you should have a fair idea. But one of the most commonly used buttons is this one here, the tile button, and all that does is if you're looking at one currency pair on its own, and you want to switch back to all six together, you just click here, okay? If you're looking at one and you want to scroll back, what you'll find is when you try and scroll back, it keeps on going back to the end here. To stop that happening, you just click on this here, or unclick it, in other words, and then you can scroll back without problem, okay? The other common one is obviously the magnifier going in and out, okay? And we use it the second last magnification. Obviously, we're always on M1 for our time frame, but you can go and look at higher time frames too. The next thing we use is down here. This is for ordering your tiles in what order you want them. So you can actually click on one and then you can move it to a different position if you want, like this, okay? And then when you re-click on the tile, you'll see, look, there's Euro GBP now in second position. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so just move that back to the end here where I need it and click it again, and there it is. Those are really the only ones you need. Now, why don't we start at the very beginning, and I'm going to go through each of the indicators one at a time. So in order to do that, I'm going to open up a brand new currency pair. And if you click on the red cross here, it brings up all the list of different currency pairs. Now, here's Euro USD, and for some of you, when you click on that first, it won't be there. And what you have to do is you have to go into symbols, and then at the top here you'll see FXA, and when you double click on that, quite often Euro USD is actually grayed out, and you have to just click on well, let's see, hide. It's hidden initially, but you want to show it, okay? You want to have it on show anyway. And the same for FXB. For some reason, GU and Euro GBP are also hidden, and you need to open them up. But anyway, let's open up a fresh screen, and this is what you'll see normally when you open up a fresh screen. Now, first thing we want to do is change that to candles, because that's what we trade, and here's the candle. Up here is the candle symbol. So I'm just going to zoom in here. So that's how it looks first of all. And you can change those by customizing. Oops. Customize here. And now it's so long since I've actually done that. That's customizing the, oh yeah, hold on, customize here. Properties. Yep. So you can change the background. You can just leave it black, foreground white, that's fine. Grids, none. And then bar going up, you can leave as green. Bar going down, you can change to red. Okay. And then the same for the colors. Bar going up, you can change to green, you can make it lime green or dark green or whatever color you want. And bar going down, you can change to red. Okay, now you don't actually have to do this, guys, because when you get the platform or the template, it actually does it automatically for you. Okay, so this is our chart as it starts out. Okay, now how on earth do you know what is going to happen next? You have no idea, looking at this, how the trade is going to go. Now let's just change it on to 1 minute. You can ignore all the sounds in the background for the moment. Those are just signals going off. Now, the next thing we need to do is probably add in some indicators to allow us know what we're looking at. So, you will already have been given all of these. I'm just going to open up my navigator, which is here. All right, and the first thing we want to do is put in our Bollinger Bands, which is one of MT4's standard indicators. So you just literally right-click on it and pull it over, and just click OK, and there we go. There's our Bollinger Bands. Now, what are Bollinger Bands? Well, basically, as price moves, it goes up and down, and this is a mathematical formula, I suppose, which just follows the general line as price goes up and down. Sometimes it moves in very small candles and the bands narrow down. Sometimes it stretches out and the bands expand. But when price hits or breaks through a band, quite often can be a sign of change, either in direction, or it also can be a sign that it is beginning to maybe become overbought and it intends to go down. We don't use Bollinger Bands on their own for trading. They are what we use as a visual for knowing when or if there is possible change in direction. So what comes next? Well, let's put in our FIBO lines next. Actually, I'll put in the clock. Now I have two clocks, but this is the one which most people get when I send the template out. Okay, this is the B clock modified, and the thing you have to do here is just change the color to yellow. Now it's not the best one. 1 second. It's not the best one. It's a yellow one, and it's what's called a tick clock. In other words, it only changes when price moves. So you'll see there it suddenly jumps from 55 to 54. Okay, at the moment it's moving every second, that's fine. But sometimes it stays in one place for 2 or 3 seconds. Now watch as it changes now from 49 to 43. So for 6 seconds it stayed in place. That makes it very difficult for us 1-minute traders, because we want the entry as close as possible to the end or beginning of the next candle. So I'm just going to put in a different clock here, and anyone who needs it can ask me for it separately. Okay, now this is a second clock that ticks down every second regardless. Okay, so now we can identify when a candle is about to end or begin, okay, and that's very useful, obviously. Now the only time you won't see it click down linearly is at the beginning of each candle. If there isn't a movement, you'll see it go -1, -2, -3 until there is a movement. Then it will start counting down linearly. He says, no, I haven't been drinking. Okay, now FIBOs. FIBOs are the one of the most powerful indicators we use here. Fibonacci was, I believe, an Italian, I might be wrong there, mathematician from around the 1200s. Brilliant man. And he discovered an interesting thing in nature. If you take two numbers side by side, like 2 and 3, and divided by 4, etc., you will have a formula. And that formula went 0, 23.6, 38.2, roughly 50, not quite, but 61.8, roughly 100, not quite, 161.8, 261.8, etc. And he found that in nature, this formula, and you can look it up yourselves, Google it or whatever, was everywhere. For example, petals in a flower obeyed this formula. The spiral of a shell obeyed this formula. So many things in nature obey this formula. And then, not so long ago, well, in the last 30 years or so, a bright trader discovered that, hey, if I put Fibonacci's rules to trading, I wonder, will it follow this formula? And lo and behold, it did. Because what happens is trading, as we said already, goes in sort of like a up and down motion, okay? It's never static. It's constantly changing, okay? Generally speaking, it's going either up or down. But it obeys certain laws of Fibonacci. So it goes, let's look at this, A to B, and it goes down to a lower, we call this lower C here, and then up to a higher D. And it'll come down to, and this AB will now be our new, this CD becomes the new AB, so AB comes down to a low, which will be a C, but a higher low than the previous. And then it goes up to a higher high, which will normally be the 161.8. Normally, not always, it can go higher. You will find that when trading, these lines, especially the 161.8, you'll see the candle come up to it, touch it, and then immediately rebound. And it obeys it on all the higher time frames too. Now the higher time frames control all the lower time frames. So, you know, for example, the 4 hour will take precedence over the 1 hour, and 1 hour takes precedence over the 30 minutes, etc., etc., all the way down to the 1 minute. We are 1 minute traders. So how do we know if price is going in an upward or downward spiral? Well, there's two ways you can do it. You can go into the higher time frame and then zoom out and see, yeah, it's in a definite upswing at the moment. But over the last day, it's been in the last few days, it's actually been in a downward. But in the long term, it's been in an upward. At this moment in time, on the 1 minute, it's sort of it's sort of AB, it's gone up to a lower C, and it's probably going to come down. So it's still in downwards here on the lower time frame. But what we use to tell what direction it's going in the short term is our channel, SHI channel. Okay, now in the short term, as in the last few hours, price is in an upward motion, okay, and that can change from time to time. And these lines will continually redraw. It picks 2 points okay, to join up, and a lower 2 points that it can join up. Now price can go in and out of those, but generally price loves going in between channels. Okay, so this is a visual guide for us to know when a price may be overbought or oversold when it goes out of the channels. So these are our three main visual aids or indicators. Charlie, I'm not trading at the moment. We're just teaching. So at the moment, price is doing its own thing here. Now, these on their own are not good enough. We need something a little more, even though these are all important. We need other indicators. And what I've devised, another indicator I like to use is the value chart. It's probably our best one. I'm just showing you another way to find your indicators. Now, why is that not showing up for me here? Okay, doesn't want to allow me to add that, so we'll just take it from here. Value chart. I have to be careful, there's different types of, here we go, value chart. I think that's the one I want. Okay, let me put that in. Okay, so this is our value chart. And at the moment it looks a bit of a mess there. So after studying and looking at others who use it, I have come up with my own formula to use it. Now, first of all, we use 2 and 1.25. So I just click on that and go 1.25. Okay. Delete the 0, don't need that. I want minus 1.25. And I don't need the 1.5, delete that. I change the color here to yellow. And I change this to a solid band. Click OK. All right, so let's get this a little stronger for us. Now, what are value charts? Well, value charts they look very similar, do they not, to your candles here. They appear to look the same and they seem to move the same, but actually they don't. They are a combination of obviously price, but also value. Value as in whether something is overbought or oversold. Sometimes you will see that the candles here move in actually the opposite direction to the candles up here. For example, here they're going down, okay, but here they're actually going up. All right. Now, after working with them for a long time, I discovered that, and also working with others who use it, that at the 1.75 level, price becomes overbought. Now it can go higher, as you can see here, it's gone very high. But at 1.75 it becomes overbought, and more often than not, once it reaches this level, it starts to come back down. So we have I developed a candle to go along with that. Let me just find it. I have to find the right one. have so many here, I need to really clear out my, that's the main, and here we go. So this one here, okay, so what this indicator does is it tells me when price is above 1.75. That's all it does. It's telling me that price is overbought at the moment, and within the next few minutes it is more than likely going to come down. Okay. Now, this candle on its own, or this indicator on its own, is not infallible. It's not the Pope. It's not the best indicator possible. So I worked on other indicators, and using a combination, and I'm not going to tell you the formula, so don't ask me, of RSI, stochastics, and another indicator which I'll introduce to you now, MBFI. I devised MBFX. Sorry, I devised another 3 arrows. You just have to change the setting here to 10, okay, for it to work. And actually, going back into indication list, on the yellow, I recommend setting that to 7 because of our latest arrow, which I'll introduce to you in a minute. So at the moment, there's no colors there, but if we go back in time, let's see if we can find some colored ones. Gosh, very few. There we go. There's a blue one. Now, the strength of these candles arrows, pardon me, goes from yellow is the initial one, and you know, most of the time, at least 2/3 of the times, you win within the first candle. But sometimes you have to go deeper. But blue, it goes yellow, blue, and then magenta, which is this one here, and then finally orange is the strongest, and that's these ones. Now look at this. This is a nasty breakout. What time is this? 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. We don't trade at that time, so we don't follow that at all. So if you'd gone into this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it would have been a 6th entry before you win. That's not nice. It's not where you want to be. So let's look at our next, but we have a solution for that, don't worry. And let's just take a look at how we tend to avoid breakouts. And we use Bollinger Band, Bollinger Bandwidth. Here we go. We use this one here. And you guys are so lucky because I've done all of this work for you. But we use 2 levels, 0.0005 and 0.0008. Okay, so this here is Bollinger Bandwidth. And if you look back here, you'll see there's 2 lines, okay? That's the 0.0005 and 0.008 in red. And then you have this yellow line. Now you're free to change that color if you want. I've just left it yellow. And it's called the Bollinger Bandwidth. But I also use it as a breakout indicator. When price goes below 5, we call it 5 and 8, okay? When price goes below 5, you do not enter a trade until it goes back up above the 8. If you just click on your mouse, you get up this crosshair. So, in actual fact, we would not have entered this trade until this candle here. We may have lost it, well, we would have lost it obviously, and we'd have won it on the second. Rather than having to go 6 times into it, we'd have only had to re-enter once to win that. So that is a very useful indicator. Now, the line can come below the 8 and you can still take trades. It's only when it goes below 5 that you stop taking trades until it reaches 8 again. Okay, and that's quite important. Now, guys who are listening into me live, if you want any clarification or you're not sure of anything, please stop me and question me, okay? More than happy to answer your questions. So that's the Bollinger bandwidth. Now, what next? Okay, we have our MBFX. This one here. This is a bit like having stochastics really and RSI all joined in one. And I have green lines there. Okay, so your MBFX is this fella here, which is green, yellow, and orange. So it's green when it's going up, yellow when it's in indecision or on the change, and then orange when it's going down. And when it's above the 80 line, it is in the overbought, and when it's below the 20 line, it is oversold. Okay, and I use that really just as a visual, as a guide, because sometimes you start getting these arrows, but it's not really oversold. Okay, for example, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and it wasn't until it reached, it went below, the MBFX went below the 20 that it became overbought, and then up it went. Okay, so that is another good indicator of price, and it's just used as a visual just to give me an idea. So what we now have is 3 indicators in one here. Okay, and at the moment it looks like a big mess, but very quickly you'll learn to separate them out and read them independently. Okay, you want me to show you on G? Well, the problem is, okay, let me see if I can switch to GU. It's just that I don't understand why you want me to switch to GU. Okay, I see there. Okay, GU here has gone into a sharp decline, a very sharp decline. Now, I'll come back to that if you don't mind in a few minutes. That I don't want to confuse things at the moment. I'd rather just stay on teaching what the different indicators mean, Charlie. And I'll cover that later. Now, we have one more indicator to add to our system. Okay, one more indicator, and that's our latest one, which we just started using this week, and that is the Bollinger Band arrow indicator. Now, you need to change enable sound to false, otherwise it'll drive you crazy, and colors, so that we can separate them, should be aqua. Okay, now you get a lot of these aqua ones, okay? However, we never trade them on their own. even though sometimes they can be good to trade on their own, there are times when they go quite deep, and I'll show you that in a minute. But when you trade two of them together, they are actually incredibly powerful. So this one would have been a win on the first trade. Let me just switch this off here. This one would have been a win on the first trade, win on the first trade. Win on the first trade, win on the first trade, win on the first trade. Are you observing this, guys? Win on the first trade. Win on the first trade. Win first trade. Win first trade. Win first trade. So it's very, very powerful when you see them both together. Okay, Charlie, you can listen back to the recording and it'll be clear again. So basically, when you have them both together, you generally will win on the first entry. And for those of you who were with me today, I think we took somewhere in the region of 25, 26 trades, and we won majority of, well, we won, I think we only lost 3 or 4 out of those 26. And we were mainly trading two together. Now you can trade the yellow and the blue or magenta or orange separately as well. But you do not trade generally the blue on their own, because there are times when you can get them cascading. Now, let's take a look at when things can go really a bit frightening. So going back to GU here. Woohoo, look at this. Breakout. Now, what happened here? Well, first of all, this is where you have to use your intelligence also. Notice how the Bollinger Bands went really tight here, almost pinching to nothing. Okay, and then there was a slight breakout, two together, win, and then suddenly boom, 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 boom. Now, why did this happen? Well, let me just open up our charts and see. The first thing we do is we take a look at our economic news. Okay, and we see, was there any significant news out during that time period? No, there wasn't for G, but there was for well, that was at half one, that was earlier on, and there is again news due out in short while for American, but again it's all loads, so there's nothing that obviously drove this. But let's just take a look at what we would have done in this case. So here we have two together. We would have entered on this candle, we would have lost, and then it would have won here. We would have ignored these three. Okay, there's two together. 1, 2, 3. That's as much as I've ever seen it. 4. So fourth entry winner. Okay. So it's very powerful. Even when you've got a huge breakout, this helps us identify. So that would mean second entry winner there, fourth entry winner here, first entry winner there. Let's just go back through it a little bit and take a look. We may have taken some of these trades here and we would have won. We would have to go 2, 3, or even 4 deep. 1, 1. Let's see where we have a combination. Here we go. 2 of them together, winner. Second entry winner. Winner. Although I probably wouldn't have traded this, because see where price went back up above the 1.25. Just going back to the value charts, I may not have explained that actually. When price triggers an arrow but then returns back above the minus 1.25, or it triggers up here and goes below the 1.25, we consider that a false trade and do not enter the following trade. Now, the only time you may potentially ignore that is when you have a yellow and an aqua together, and in that case you can possibly take a trade in the direction of the arrow. Okay, what time was this? 9:41 this morning. Ooh, that was a nasty one, wasn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ooh, that was not a nice one at all. And it didn't even fire off any of the Bollinger Band ones. That is a potential trade killer. And you would have to be very careful with things like that. There you have a yellow and blue together, winner, yellow and blue, winner, yellow and blue, winner. Okay, so for those of you who are conservative traders, the yellow and blue are very powerful. I used this yesterday when we hit something similar to this, and I was in a nasty, I was down 2,000. I used the yellow and blues when the market settled down to take recovery trades. In other words, rather than entering at 25, I was entering at 318 and winning 200 each time until I won back my losses. It is risky, but as we've already seen, normally within 3 to 4, it will win. Now here's a yellow and blue together. As it happened, it would have been 1, 2, third entry win, but we would not have normally taken that trade because it came down below the 1.25. Okay. Same here, we would have actually ignored this because it came down below the 1.25. I may reconsider this when you have a yellow and blue together. Yellow only, definitely we would have ignored it, but I will consider it again potentially for yellow and blue. I want to keep an eye on that for longer to decide on that rule. That's interesting, you got yellow and blue, but both ends. Here you've got yellow and blue, win, yellow and blue, win, although it came down below both of the, well, that one was just within, we could have taken that one, or I just obeying the rules. This one wasn't, strictly speaking. Yellow and blue, win. So you see how powerful that is. So that is all of our indicators explained, guys. I hope you found that interesting and worth looking at. Actually, EURUSD, while we were doing it, just went into a steep dive here too. Look, we had yellow and blue, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow. Wow, that was a 6th entry. 1, 2, 3, 4, sorry, 5th entry before it would have won. So at the moment the market is very unstable, but you see what happened here. There's a long period of constriction where Bollinger Bands were really, really very tight. And also, look here, it dipped down below the 5 just, and it didn't come back above the 5 until above the 8 until here, okay? Which, okay, it was telling us, yeah, it's okay to trade when it's above the 8. But you'd have been a 5th entry before a winner here. So a lot of people get very nervous having to go that deep. So starting on 25, we would have ended up being, that would have been a 741 entry, 741. But it would have won. So the system works. When I see this, for example, you know, both GU and EURUSD behaving like this, I would probably move out. I would stop trading until the market settled down again. So it's in a bit of a weird state at the moment. This is why you do not trade the blues on their own, guys. You see this? Blue, 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 blue. I think there's potentially a yellow. Oh yeah, there's a yellow and blue here, yellow and blue here. So 1, 2, 3. That would have been a fourth entry. So when there is excessive volatility for whatever reason in the market, it can go to your fourth entry with yellow and blue. But when the market is nice and stable, I would actually not be trading at the moment when it's like this. I would stop, come back in an hour, check it out, see are the signals accurate to within 2 or 3 hours, and then I'd start trading again. Personally, I do not trade in the afternoon. I do not normally trade at this time, although I did yesterday and I did well, but generally after 1 o'clock I do not trade. I only trade the morning session. I do not trade the afternoon session, because I find once the Americans get out of bed and start trading, they tend to like to mess it up. So stay out of it. Yeah. Okay, I hear what you're saying there, guys, about changing the Bollinger bandwidths, etc. But I don't want to confuse it for new people. So everyone, that is our indicators explained. For those of you who are listening in live, was that clear? Did you understand it? Did you learn stuff? Do you feel you understand all of the indicators properly now? And now that you understand how these all work, the next thing for you to do is join our trial or our daily trading sessions at 8 a.m. and midday GMT, and that way you will learn how we trade them all together. What are the little red circles? Thank you for asking that question. Well done. Every so often you see these little red circles here, and in other places. What they are actually is they are plotters for the SHI channel. So it is what we may see, because it's a sudden drop there, as this page moves to the left, we may suddenly find that the lines go almost vertical in this direction, okay, as in a big downward trend. So that's what they are. They are plotters for the SHI line, this line here and here. Okay, so plotters for the channel. Any other questions before I finish? Okay, I actually did show you that during the setup, what you do to, if you're finding that, you know, the aqua is hiding the yellow, you go into charts, indicators list, find your yellow arrow, and you need to adjust that position, because the we can't adjust the arrow position on the aqua. At least I don't think we can. Let me just check that again. No, I'll just click out of that. Inputs. No, you can't. You can't adjust the arrow, so you need to do it on the yellow. And if you just change that to 7, okay, and the main arrow ones should be 10. Now you can see there's a difference, okay? So the blue and the yellow is no longer one on top of the other. So the aqua is at 5, yellow should be 7, and 10 for the main arrows. Okay, and thank you for asking that, and I'm just going to quickly save. If you want to save your indicator list, you just click on template, save template, find whichever one you want to. You've already got it saved. In this case, it's the trial one here, and click save. Okay, you've now saved that template with its new setup, and then all you do is you go into each one of the others. So I click on this one, go to template. So I right click anywhere in the chart, template, find my template, save it, template, click on it, left click on it, template, left click on it. I don't need this anymore, so I just delete it. Right click on it, save it, right click on it, not save it, sorry, just install it. Okay, so now they're all installed, and the blues and the yellow, the aqua blues and the yellows have a separation now. Okay, so now you won't have to install these indicators as I've shown you there. I just went through how you do, but when you click on the template or install the template, you always do that first. All the other indicators should automatically open up with those settings. Super. Guys, thank you very much. I appreciate your time and your questions. I hope you learned something interesting here. And oh yeah, one other thing I'll show you. These Fibo lines are automatic, and they draw. They will keep on redrawing, but they only go one way when price is going up. They don't work necessarily when price is going down. But if you want to see how to get the negative Fibos, you actually click on this here, the F for Fibo lines, and then you go to the bottom of, see this dotted red line, you go to the bottom of that one, and then up to the top. Okay. Now, what that is showing us is that this present run is going very, very deep. And if we zoom out a bit, it's potentially wanting to go right down to the 4-1. Now, if I zoom back in, I look for a pattern. Okay, that would be A, B, C, D. But actually, if I look at it again, I just want to show you something. Okay, so this is AB. So just let me show you something here. If I draw a Fibonacci, A, B, here. Okay. Sorry, did I go the wrong way? A to B. Yeah, I'm right. Okay, now zoom out. Let me just start that again because we've got the other ones in there. So it's going A to B to C. I'm just looking at how it's going here. A, B, A, B, A, B, C, down to D here. Okay, now I know what I'm doing. Okay, so we go from here to here. Okay, and we see what's happening. So it's passed through the 1618 here, and it actually passed right through it. So there's something else driving it on the higher time frames. So you can go and look at the higher time frames and see why is it behaving the way it is. Is it looking for something else? on the higher time frames. Is there another Fibonacci line there that is more important? And again, I could draw in here to here, and actually I'd go up to here. There we go. Look at this. See this? Boom. 1618. And it's given us a double arrow on the half hour. I would not be surprised if within the next half hour, now it's only just started, I wouldn't be surprised if within the next half hour that actually comes back up. Keep an eye on that for yourselves, and you will see what happens there. But as I said to you before, the higher time frames rule the lower time frames on all things. Okay? Higher time frames rule the lower time frames. So at the moment, GU or AU, all of them are moving for their own reason. And generally, it's the banks at this time are controlling it, and they have an agenda. I don't know what it is, but I would just stay out of it when it's like this. So let's clear that up again. I'm going to finish it there, guys, unless you have any questions. Okay. Thank you very much. This is Angus Levy for Binary Option Networking, saying thank you for joining me, and I hope you understand this better. For those of you who are new, watch this 2 or 3 times, get to understand how to use MT4, get to understand these indicators, and watch them. Okay. Take care, folks. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.